petroleum products at the facility. PTD, through its umbrella body, the Nigeria Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers, NUPENG, dismissed the allegation, saying the company was being economical with the truth. And meanwhile, Major Energy Marketers Association of Nigeria, MEMAN, Petroleum Products Retail Outlets Owners Association of Nigeria, PETRAN, and National President, Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, said they were ready to lift products and were working on it. Now, the terminal manager of the Port Harcourt refinery, Oluyole, disclosed that the Petroleum Products Marketing Company, PPMC, arm of the refinery was working on that loading trucks has not stopped since. Yes, and that loading of trucks had not, stopped since. Now, the General Secretary of NUPENG, Mr. Afolabi Olawale, while reacting to the development, told the portals that the management of PHRC was lying. Who is fooling who? Is it the Port Harcourt refinery or the tanker drivers overloading? You are been yearning for the Port Harcourt refinery to be working and yearning for other refineries in the country to be working. Now the Port Harcourt refinery is on board. We are now putting blames on each other now. One is saying this, another is saying that. What is happening in this country?
I'm wondering, Bimbo, if the tanker drivers are indeed responsible for the slow pace of loading. I'm wondering to what end and what would they stand to gain from that, and how would they be able to delay loading? How would they have them? What strategy would they be using to delay loading? So I'm really wondering, and I think it would be at a loss to them too, to have their tankers delayed unnecessarily for hours or even days at the refinery. I know the last time I was saying that I was so much hoping that Mr. John's prediction would not come true when he said that he would only believe it when he sees it, when he sees that the refinery is actually working to capacity and that there are no hiccups. He predicted these hiccups, which I think are very unnecessary. What they told us was that the procedure would be seamless and that the refinery was already working at optimal capacity. So before they came out with that very elaborate announcement and very bogus announcement to Nigerians, I guess whatever problem could make it look as if the NNPCL or even the federal government is being prudent with the truth should have been thoroughly addressed. But now, here we are. And remember what the host community said, though that has been debunked by NNPCL. Again, we are not sure who is being economical with the truth between the NNPCL and the host communities. They said that, just to refreshing our memory, they said that all the talk about the refinery being fully back on board was just a facade, and that the refined fuel they pushed out was actually that which had been in the storage tanks for 3 years, and they only blended it and then pushed it out to Nigerians. They are saying, as a matter of fact, that there is no refined fuel anywhere, and that they also been economical with the truth about the loading capacity at the refinery. They said the first day only 8 trucks were loaded, contrary to what the NPCL claimed that they will be loading 200 trucks every day. So here we are. I think the federal government needs to do something quickly about this to at least assuage the thoughts of Nigerians, and so that Nigerians do not get disappointed again, and so that we do not continue to take everything they say with a pinch of salt.
Yes, well, I don't know. From my opinion, I believe this, if it is true that tanker drivers are at war over delaying product loading and blaming the PHRC for not loading, yes, it might be true. It might, because I remember years ago when we, sometimes visit the NNPC, former NNPC at Apata. It is NNPCL now, but NNPCL Apata. And you visit them, you will see trucks queuing. You see the queues there trying to load. So I don't know, maybe it is the time I don't know, maybe it is the capacity, maybe it is personnel, issues that may have caused that time. So I believe it might be that, like you said, how can one wants to buy a good, and you now say you want to delay yourself to buy that good? It is not possible.
I really don't get it. Maybe the NNPCL would have to explain more just how the tanker drivers are delaying loading, and what maybe the NNPCL should also should tell us what the tanker drivers stand to gain, why they think the tanker drivers would be involved in such acts. And this one it says Olanikwekun backs 6-year single-term proposal for president. Well, Olanikwekun, I think he's a lawyer, a senior advocate of Nigeria.
I think it's Oluyole.
So here, Olanikwekun backs 6-year single-term proposal for president. So, well, this has been on for quite a while now, to be or not to be. 6-year single term. Well, like we always say on this platform, where people will say it that 6 years too long for a bad leader and too short for a good one. That is a 6-year single term. But for me, Bimbo, if I'm to voice my opinion over this, well, no one really cares how long a political leader stays, as long as they are able to enjoy the basic needs of life under that leader, and they are able to realize at least 75%, if not all, of their personal dreams and aspirations. And to be able to live a decent life and afford the basic necessities of life, that is all people ask for. And they don't really ask for anything more. But in countries like Nigeria, our leaders make it seem as if the people are asking for too much. I say all these bearing in mind, for instance, a country like Rwanda, where the people having gone through a genocidal, fratricidal, sectarian civil war, and having been through really terrible times in the recent past.
We are close to 1 million people who are killed.
And the people now are not in any hurry to let their God-found leader Paul Kagame leave anytime soon. And Kagame has been there for quite a while now.
Yes, and he was recently re-elected.
Re-elected, and he was criticized that he should quit the stage for someone else, maybe for a younger leader or something like that. But my argument, and this was an argument between me and my boss at some point in time, we were talking about this, and my boss said that, well, fine, he has done pretty good, and that but then as a candle, he should also light other candles. But my argument was that this is Africa. Leaders like that are very rare and very difficult to find. So if he's there and the people are very, very comfortable with him, give it to the man. He was the one that carried out reconciliation. He was Tutsi. I mean, he is Tutsi. And these people are the ones that suffered the brunt, the major brunt of that genocide.
Yes, Tutsis, moderate Hutus.
And the Tutsis were massacred in their millions. So he was in the bush all that time, leading a rebel force against the Hutu-dominated government. Well, eventually they overcame, and instead of the Hutus were packing their bags and baggages and trying to leave the country, and they said no one should leave, that he has not come on any revenge mission. He has come to reconcile, reconciliation and reconstruction, and that was exactly
what he did.
And today, people that are jackpying, who don't have the necessary papers to be in the UK, a country like the UK, when they are to be deported, the UK will tell them that they are recommending a country that has what they came looking for in the UK, an African country. And when they recommend that, they recommend Rwanda. For you to know the level of development. And even today, all issues of ethnicity seems to have virtually disappeared from that country.
Yes.
You ask a Rwandan, if you see a Rwandan in Nigeria, ask that Rwandan, are you Hutu or Tutsi? He will tell you, I'm a
Rwandan. That is it.
So for that kind of leader, no one in that country will really care how long he stays. Look at a country like North Korea too. I mean, total dictatorship, a totalitarian government.
Yes.
But have you ever heard the people rioting, rebelling, and protesting? If you hear anything about protest in that country, maybe a few minorities, and what are they protesting for? Maybe the right to practice their religion the way they want to.
Yes.
Maybe that is what could. But then, generally, the people are very happy with that government. That's why the fact that it is a totalitarian government. You are not allowed access to the outside world unless it's absolutely necessary.
Yes.
But the argument of the government is that whatever you are looking for in the West, especially in the Western world, that is right there in Rwanda, and the people are happy. Despite that authoritarian. In Singapore, it was a totalitarian leader.
Last week.
So they call where there is totalitarianism, where there is maybe full dictatorship and the people are happy, they call it benevolent dictatorship. So that is the way it goes. So no matter, so I say all this because of the background, on the sidelines of this particular headline, Olanipekun back 60 as Singleton proposal for president. For me, my personal opinion here, Bimbo, if a president is good, if we could have a reenactment of that particular military ruler that ruled for just 6 months before his life was brutally terminated, and we are still talking about the things he did at that time, even now. Well, that was 1976, Bimbo, and till now we still talk about those very lovely 6 months that looked like forever. So if we can have another leader like that, I'm not calling for a return to military rule, but if we can have another leader who would do those same things that he did and make us happy, by all means, let that leader stay forever, Bimbo.
Okay. Now, what happened to Muammar Gaddafi? Muammar Gaddafi was good when he was in power.
The West painted him black.
Yes.
And they destroyed him.
And they destroyed him. And the people liked him. And it was the people, these same people, that pointed him out.
I don't agree with you on that, people. Muammar Gaddafi, yes, he was a very good leader, but then, like I said, in every situation, you would have a few minorities that will not be happy with his style of governance. Not exactly his style of governance, but because there are certain things, and maybe based on ideologies, that these people are not happy with. So those were the ones that the Americans latched onto. And if you remember the story, remember, at a particular point in time, the Americans began to empower that particular, I've forgotten what they called themselves at that time, began to empower that particular rebel force. And at some point, the Americans said they recognized that rebel force as the government of Libya. When there's a sovereign government in place, and the rest of Africa looked the other way. We kept quiet and looked the other way until with the help of the Americans, they were able to topple Muammar Gaddafi, and eventually the man was a curious and controversial shoddy trial, and then he was sentenced to death and killed. But see, Libya today, eventually that group they became divided, and that country has not known peace or any progress since then. Ditto what they did to Syria, ditto what they did to Iraq.
Iraq.
And the world, the international analysts and the watchers are saying that Iran seems to be their next target, and they don't care if they destroy the entire Middle East in the process.
Yes, that is their aim now. Now this one says, well, this is general to everyone, the same Ibin power. At sheep, Nigerians in urban areas now embrace firewood, charcoal for cooking. Okay, charcoal is now 500 naira and 1,000 naira, between 500 and 1,000 naira.
Not to say that it's also becoming expensive because the demand is high.
Yes, it is high. And don't worry, let me first go through this story, then I'll give you one funny instance. Nigerians in urban areas may have returned to the most affordable cooking fuels, charcoal and firewood. Due to the increase in the price of cooking gas, charcoal and firewood were used by mostly the locals and people living in semi-urban areas before the advent of cooking gas. However, when cooking gas came into the picture, these other primitive fuels were relegated to the background because the difference between them, particularly on ease of use, was day and night. Now it appears ease of use is no longer considered when can no longer afford the cooking gas. Yes, people can no longer afford the cooking gas. They are going back to even some people I know. Maybe there is no. I can't call anybody middle class anymore. It's either you are rich or you are poor. Yeah. So some people, at least, maybe they are comfortable. They are falling back to charcoal or petrol. I'm sorry, or firewood. Now, these ones too are becoming expensive. Now it is between those prices. Now you now know what some people do. They now pick up. Before, in the past, when we want to light up charcoal or firewood, we use these local oil, something. Ogusho, yes. You put it. Now there's no Ogusho. Ogusho is there, but it is expensive too. Some use a little bit of kerosene. There's no kerosene. Now people will now be searching for sachets of pure water, sachets of local gin, ogogoro. Picking it up. They will use it to light.
I have a colleague that goes picking all those things in our neighborhood, and I asked her once that, don't you feel a bit embarrassed when the neighbors are looking at you and you are
picking?
She said she doesn't care. He said let anybody say whatever they want to say.
People are even selling it now. All those sachets of Google, they are selling it. They'll pick it. They'll pick in packs. They'll be selling. Yes, for people that cannot, go and pick. And that is the situation we have found ourselves in.
We are talking about the weird brand of resilience of the average Nigerian and the ability to improvise. Remember during the June 12 struggle, and Pengasan went on strike, and strike action that almost brought the nation to its knees. Remember what depleted the Agala forest? Yes,
people were cutting fresh trees, fresh igitutu, and they were using it to make fire. And it burnt. It was cooking. People used it. It's burnt.
So eventually, the Agala forest disappeared.
Yes.
And what you have there now, we have houses, residential houses there
yes,
now. Well, like you said, that was a situation in which we have found ourselves. It doesn't look like there are no signs that things are going to get better anytime soon. But on tax reforms, fiscal policy must not strengthen some states, punish others, says Atiku Abubakar. Well, I agree with Atiku Abubakar on this. If we are going to have these tax reforms, even as it concerns VAT, yes, we may want to correct the hitherto existing lopsidedness, whereby some states that are not bringing all that much to the table, enjoying the resources of this country more than the others. But if we are going to correct that, we also must not. We also must be fair to those states that we are talking about. We must be fair to each and every state, and ditto for all other aspects of tax reforms. Like Article says, saying that fiscal policy must not strengthen some states and punish others. We must all have a sense of belonging. That is why I believe that an elaborate meeting should also be held over this, not just involving the economists now, but also the leaders. Yes, we could say that would be a long and tedious process, but then it's worth it at the end of it. At the end of it all, it is worth it, so that we do not continue to make the same mistakes over and over again. I have 10,000 jobs at risk as Seaport concession agreement renewal stalls.
Yes, former President Obasanjo is in the news again, and is saying he is responding to a revelation by former head of state General Yakubu Gowon, retired, that is Gowon, intervened with the late General Sani Abacha to spare Obasanjo's life during his imprisonment. Obasanjo was among those detained by Abacha's regime over allegations of plotting a coup to overthrow the government. And speaking during the inaugural Plateau Interdenominational Unity Christmas Carols and Praise Festivals at the 10 Command Prayer Altar in Du Jos South Local Government Area over the weekend, Gowon disclosed that he had written to Abacha urging him to show clemency to Obasanjo. Now, Obasanjo is saying he never knew Gowon asked Abacha not to kill him.
But he's thanking him all the same.
He's thanking him, yes. He's thanking him.
For the show of love. When I read that story, Bimbo, looking back into the past now, I shuddered again to think that General Abacha was actually going to have Baba shot and other big names that he were detained at that time. They were, if not for the fact that death came calling at that time and took the general away, that he was actually going to have these people shot. And I was talking to a friend, and he said that he wouldn't have done that. That would have shaken Nigeria to its foundation. But then I reminded my friend that nobody thought he was going to kill Ken Saro-Wiwa.
Yes.
Even as at the time Ken Saro-Wiwa, hours before the execution, the Canadian Prime Minister was still on the phone with General Abacha, pleading with him to spare Saro-Wiwa's life. He told the Canadian Prime Minister, assured him that, okay, I've heard your plea, but only for the Prime Minister to learn hours later that he had been, they have been executed. So no doubt that perhaps, and that is why Baba himself is saying, referring to General Gowon now, that thank you for being a lifesaver. Thank you for writing to Abacha for my release. But then the story is that even that plea wouldn't have worked at that time if death had not come to take General Abacha himself away. But
what if General Abacha had signed the warrant before he died? What will happen?
Well, if you understand, then it would be very curious if someone, there was initially a lot of confusion. Now, according to the narratives that were given by those who were close to in the corridors of power at that time, some of them have written books, and they told us about the initial confusion that took place because that death was so sudden, and the last person with him was General Husseini, who was with him. He left only to learn hours later, maybe an hour or two later, that the general had passed on. So it would have been very curious if someone at that point in time thought that the next thing to do was to quickly carry out those executions. So that could have really spelled trouble, because the one who could have given the order and stood by that order and made sure that nothing untoward happened afterwards is already dead. So I doubt if anyone would be in a hurry to carry that out.
But why do I'm not castigating the military now, but up there, the high command, most times when they are in power, I believe they don't, sometimes they don't temper mercy with justice, or how do they coin it for some people? Now, remember, I think it was IBB that killed, executed Maman Vatsa. They were in school together. They were friends. He still executed him.
Vatsa was his best man.
Yes.
But
accusing him of, trying to organize a coup. Yes.
But let me ask you a question. If it was you and I in that condition at that time, and I plan a coup, and I'm caught, and you are able to unravel the fact that I've planned the coup, and you only escaped death by the whiskers, and you know very well that if that coup had succeeded, I would have killed you. So would you have spared my life?
Well, it is a matter of talk. It might not be that Maman Vatsa planned that coup.
Well, he denied to the end anyway.
Yes.
He said he wasn't involved.
Yes. So I don't know. Maybe they don't do their investigations very well, because see that of Major General Dia Adisa Olanrewaju during the Abacha time too.
Oh, they actually confessed that.
They confessed that.
Those ones were, it's a very funny scenario. There were some, there were videos that General Abacha invited traditional rulers and all those that matter in the country to come and watch where the generals were prostrating and begging. At some point in time, was it General Bameyi now that was also, but then it was planted amongst them by General Abacha.
Yes. The drug, no, it was not the drug, it was the chief of army staff. Yes.
At that particular point in time. And the difference there was that I think General Abacha himself deliberately he wanted to see how loyal they were, and at the same time maybe he was not comfortable with them being in the corridors of power. So I think he was the one that instigated that, okay, General Bamayi, go and tell these people that we need to remove the head of state. And of course they fell into the trap. General Bamayi led them along. At some point, General Adisa would have been saved. At some point, he wanted to. The story was that he went to Aso Rock at some point in time to see General Abacha, and he wanted to actually tell him that this is what is happening, going on. But I don't know whether his courage failed him at some point in time. So at various times, he would want to leave. It happened like 3 times, and General Abacha would say, Adisa, is there anything you want to tell me? He would hesitate. He would say, no, General. Then it happened like 3 times. The general asking the same question. Is there anything you want to tell me? So eventually, he failed to deliver on his mission. That was his intention. That was the reason he went to see General Abacha, but he failed to. So eventually, he was full of regrets when he saw that it was all a trap, that he had fallen into it. So I cannot say the same about General Obasanjo, whether he was actually involved in any coup or not. But those military officers, Bimbo, they actually did what they said they did.
We are Dasha.
Well, it's all history now, and we've just got a little history class this morning.
This morning, yes. Now this one says, I always say people don't learn. They don't learn from mistakes of some other people. See, another businessman again caught with 700 grams of cocaine at Lagos airport.
Oh. Is it the same one that I said I spent 35 years in Brazil?
Yes.
And only to return home with ingested cocaine?
Yes. I don't know what is happening to people. Almost every week they are arresting people. Arresting a businessman, 700, and they will now go to town. They will be spending money anyhow. And people are hungry. 700 grams of cocaine.
Also because our value systems have been eroded, and what you mentioned about them spending money and displaying ill-gotten wealth in town, well, we also hail them, we also admire them, we also we also want to be like them, because not bothering to ask where all that money came from, not bothering to ask them questions. There was a time, well, again, I remember the good old days of Bimbo. Nothing wrong when you wear lace material, and when it first came to the Nigerian fashion scene, but then because it was expensive, so if you put on lace and people don't know any viable or veritable source of livelihood that you can claim to have, they will look at you as a criminal,
yes.
And they will tell their children and their relations to steer clear of you, yes. Until a musician came and in one of his songs he said, Emma for you buruku when it over wallace, said you are near wu. So just to tell you that how good things were at that time, talking about the value system, but then all that has been eroded now. someone coming home from Brazil after spending 35 years, first of all, I'm wondering, what we do normally here is that people taking this drug outside the country. So was he in transit? Was he taking it to another country? Or there is a market here in Nigeria, and he's bringing it? Nigeria mostly is a transit country for these drugs.
I think there should be a ready market. I think it should be in transit. Yes. In transit.
So he was coming home.
59-year-old, imagine.
59 years. At IPPIS, federal government orders investigation into alleged deductions from Nigerian Correctional Services, NSCDC personnel salaries. Well, that has been on for quite a while. So there were some curious deductions. Well, the Minister of Interior is now ordering that should be investigated, and indeed it should be investigated. Ondo workers will receive minimum wage next week, says NLC, and Ebonyi workers to begin strike today. We're meant to understand that 5 states will be embarking on a strike action regarding.
5 states. All other states have, I think, some states have, pulled out of the envisaged strike.
And in states where where the government has not announced a timeline for the full implementation of the wage, I mean, they have come to an agreement with the NLC that they will the issues of consequential adjustments, dotting the I's and the T's, and so they have agreed that they will be sitting down to agree on their own timeline for the implementation of the new minimum wage. So in such states, there would be no need for any strike action. I believe Oluyole is one of those states. The NLC, I think they came up with an announcement at the weekend that they will not be going on strike, that they are still negotiating with the state government. Already, I think it's 80,000 naira approved by Governor Sheyi Makinde. That is a done deal. But then, how that is going to be implemented now, the usual consequential adjustments, that is what is going on at the moment. And the state NLC has said as much. So we wait and with the implementation
will happen.
And this will be the implementation will be coming up very soon. Very soon.
Yes. Now, operatives of the talking about terrorist attack now. Operatives of the Nigeria Police Force (NPF) they repelled terrorist attacks on Jakana Police Divisional Headquarters in Borno State and conducted raids on terrorist black spots in Sokoto. This came as they overpowered a group of kidnappers in a shootout in Delta State, and a statement by the force headquarters said it is in furtherance of the redoubled effort of the Inspector General of Police, IGP Kayode Egbetokun, to sustaining the fight against all forms of crime and criminality across the country. Yes, well, the police, they repelled terrorist attacks in Borno, Sokoto. Well, they have done well. We commend the Nigeria Police. They are trying to do what they can within their own resources and the support of the federal government. Yes, we commend them. Then, well, what is the name? What is the name of that new terrorist group that is on ground in Sokoto? Lakurawa. Yes, I believe they will, try and get them out of that state and not let the the group spread to other states around Sokoto State and Borno.
Published names of contractors who disappeared with 167 billion naira meant for 31 MDAs, that's Ministry Departments and Agencies. Serap tells Tinubu.
Disappeared with 167 billion naira meant for 31 MDAs. Serap tells Tinubu. Is it possible? Is government will government give contractors money meant for MDAs, or will government deal directly with the MDAs?
Well, I think the money was given to the contractors to execute various projects. I mean, linked with the MDAs. But then, looking at this, Bimbo, my thoughts that what about because if you are going after these contractors, they couldn't have pulled this off alone. Maybe the 167 billion is a combination of various sharp practices in when you talk about contract awards in this country. Talk about kickbacks. Talk about different. Should I say illicit incentives that are used to oil even the pockets of those who are supposed to be managers of the contract. So a lot of people in high places would also be going down with the contractors if they are to shine the light on this. Long-lasting injectable HIV prevention drug set for rollout in Nigeria. Tinubu departs Paris for South Africa to co-chair bi-national commission. And we also have forex subsidies outpaced fuel subsidies under old regime, says Cardoso. That's the CBN governor, Mr. Yemi Cardoso. He also says 9 billion naira capital dividends successfully repatriated by foreign investors and banks to develop products for diaspora savings and investments in Nigeria. And that's as the CBN is set to review e-Naira implementation. And now at this one, Bimbo, bank customers decry shortage of cash as CBN reads Riot Act.
Bank customers decry shortage of cash,
and that's actually been happening across banks in the country.
Yes, and you see what wonders me. I go to some social assignments. I see some, should I call them traders or what? They carry cash, brand new notes, selling to people, 100 naira, 200 naira, 500 naira, 1,000 naira. And banks are saying there is shortage of cash. Who are saying there is shortage of cash?
Even the POS operators, you readily you get as much cash as you want to withdraw
as you want, yes,
from them. But to tell you the truth, I think I prefer to patronize them rather than go through the harrowing nightmare that the banks put you through.
Yes, because you want to only collect 50,000 naira. Banks will say they cannot give you more than 20,000. Imagine.
After they might have kept you waiting for hours. And they treat you as if they are doing you a favor.
So how many times you
as if you have come to beg for money or for food?
How many times you have bring a check of 50k? They now say they can't pay you more than 20. So what do? They will say I should now transfer the rest to my account
and wait for 3 days. Even if you have an emergency to take care of.
I don't understand. You see, there was an assignment I went to in one event center in Ring Road. I won't mention the name. I saw these people, they were about 10 of them carrying cash, mint, brand new notes, carrying it, selling to people who wanted to spray money. And I said, and they said this cash is not available, and they said these brand new notes are not available. Where do these people get these brand new notes from? Did it come from the ground? They came from inside the bank.
Like Mr. John did say, Bimbo, they are at this point in time, this level of intense suffering that Nigerians are going through, they had better not come up with a reenactment of the Emefiele saga at this time. It will push Nigerians over the brink.
Yes.
They shouldn't just think that Nigerians are resilient, that they will bear it as well. Whatever is happening, whatever is the problem, should be addressed. Do not add a Emefiele saga at this point in time to the problems of Nigerians. It will be very dangerous to do so.
Yes, people will say Nigeria are being pushed to the wall. They are not being pushed to the wall. They are inside the wall already. Yes, but if they decide to, bring themselves out of the wall by the back.
But here, Bimbo, the story is saying here. Well, there's a POS operator saying this now, also complaining that they have not been able to get much cash from the banks, and then one of them, Mary Isaac, a PS operator at Mabushi, that's in Abuja, says he got very little cash, which was not adequate for her business. And she says for every transaction now, the charge is from 200 naira and above. And she says to go higher in December. Well, she's blaming the CBN. She says the CBN has not put more cash into circulation. But meanwhile, the CBN is saying here, it says, meanwhile, the CBN has threatened to impose fines on erring banks over scarcity of cash at the ATMs. The CBN Governor Yomi Cardoso said this at the annual bankers dinner organized by the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria in Lagos at the weekend. Cardoso said that the Apex Bank would be conducting spot checks across the DNBs and would impose sanctions on underperforming banks. He urged customers to report any difficulties in accessing cash directly to the CBN for prompt action. Oh, how convenient. Who are we going to? Indeed, the CBN.
Yes, and we are talking about ATMs now. How many ATMs are working? Now, how many? Even in front of banks, how many?
Well, Mr. Cardoso is blaming the banks themselves, while the banks are also blaming the CBN.
Let them be blaming themselves. Then, you know that you are talking about shortage of cash. There's one POS operator. Do you know that sometimes those POS operators, they go to nearby petrol stations, to collect cash from them. They go, to boost their own operation. Well, there is problems everywhere.
I know there was this thing that there was this story at some point in time that the deadline for the mopping up of old Naira notes was supposed to be December, and that by December that we will probably experience the same thing we experienced during the Emefiele saga. But the CBN came out to debunk that, saying there is nothing like that. And but then we really don't know what is happening right now.
Let's take some calls. 08055009850. That is the number to call. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Mr. Tola, Mr. Bimbo.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. John.
Good morning, John calling from Oluyole.
Good to have you, sir.
Well, the difference between the Rwanda and Nigeria. Nigeria seems not to forgive each other after the war, and we never had a leader that addressed the issue why the war happened. That is why some section of the country are still agitating. They should look into what happened, why Ojukwu and co decided to wage the war and settle issues so that we can move on, like Paul Kagame did in Rwanda between Tutsi and Hutu. Yes, like I used to say, the first tenure of our amiable governor, Oyo State Governor, Seyi Makinde, when I went there for a program concerning agriculture, fortunately we met. I met with the governor, we spoke, and I know Seyi Makinde learned one or two things from Rwanda, which he has been using in making a lot of progress in Oyo State. In those days, you say see Paris and die. Today, it is see Rwanda and die. Because the man, yes, a very tough man, Paul Kagame, which the West may term as a dictator. He has that character. But will you prefer a dictator who makes you enjoy, and someone who is not a dictator while people are dying of hunger? The answer is people will prefer a dictator that makes people enjoy. Go to people in Libya today. The people of Benghazi was deceived by the Americans. The people of Benghazi, they enjoy until the West push them. They decide Gaddafi has stayed too long. It is the turn of the people of Benghazi to rule. That was all. Today, if you ask the people of Benghazi, will they prepare Gaddafi? They will tell you they need Gaddafi. I used to chat with some of them because I have friends during my playing days. I played football in Libya. I had a contract to play them. I refused to go because the money I make in El Hilal in Libya is more than the money estimating made in Belgium. So instead, look at what they are doing. So the Africans should look inward and will let us solve our own problem. We can do it. What Paul Kagame is doing in Rwanda is amazing, except those who are not going there. North Korea is progressing. They are not as bad. The fraction country in the world are still surviving. working. That means that leader is not totally bad. That is what Putin is trying to do. Putin is part of the West, but his ideology is different. His ideology is that don't take other country as slaves. Let everybody rule the way he feels his country can be ruled. My two teacher, enjoy your day. Happy New Month. Good morning, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. John. 5009850. That's the number to call to be a part of conversation this morning. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Pastor.
Good morning.
May the peace of the Lord be with both of you and every peace-loving Nigerian in Jesus' name.
Amen.
I did that who is calling from Okeo.
Okay, good to have you, sir.
On Port Refinery, loading and not loading of trucks. Tanker drivers are delaying loading as claimed by the NNPC. When integrity is lacking, lies and counter lies are common. Who to believe now? Even when the government will be verifying whether it is true or not true. How can the country survive in that situation? Well, 700 ounces of cocaine found on a businessman. And Bimbo is asking the question, what's wrong with the people who are not learning from the mistakes of others? I know the answer, Bimbo. The answer is the love of money. The love of money is the root of all evil. Those are the scriptures. The love of money is the root of all corruption. When the love of money is reigning, then the love of God and the love of fellow human beings is lacking. And that is the reason we find ourselves in this mess in this country. Love of money reigning everywhere, even religious circles, religious centers. I pray that God Almighty himself will intervene in the affairs of this country so that we will love God and we will love our fellow human beings. Thank you, Adedado from Okeo. God bless you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Baba.
Thank you.
08255009850. You want to call us and then welcome your contributions on the program. World AIDS Day 2024. Your government renews fight against HIV/AIDS with free testing.
Yes, free testing. That is that one is good. It is good.
Hello.
Good morning, Alaji. Good morning.
This is Alaji Ayulabogo, and I'm calling from Lalata.
Good to have you, sir.
Thank you.
About the numerous trafficking of our president outside the country is good, so that many investors will come to the country. But notwithstanding, the problem is becoming too much. Let the president take it and know our problems and face the challenges Nigerians are facing presently. You see, from France down to South Africa, spending many days there. I think the president has to stay put, stay with us, eat with us, dine with us, so that we know our problem. For example, I make a joke the other day that why is it that the president is going to London? Why can't he come to Lalata to stay with us and see how we are doing? So I think it is now good, I think it is good now for the president to stay put alone. So I'm not saying that I should not travel to at least make sure that the professor and the country, but notwithstanding, let me face the reality. I think there is still challenges we are facing here. Thank you,
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm committed to ending insecurity in Nigeria, stabilizing ECOWAS, says President Tinubu, and they said that at the closing of the Africa Military Games hosted by Nigeria in Abuja.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Ojo Michael calling from Oluyole Kingdom.
Good to have you, Mr. Ojo Michael.
I want to say happy new month to everybody. Yes, on this scarcity of naira, it has started since I witnessed it since July. So it's not now that it has started. It has started to me. I know that in July it has been on. So government should not compact Nigerian issue with the scarcity of naira again. They should do something as you already said, Mr. Tola And, we don't want to experience any failure anymore. So government should do the needful. Why should you said the time that if we ask me, if you should ask me to shoot the tree whether Nigeria we should run now. So, but let's build our home. Let's do let Nigeria be a better place for all of us to live. If Nigeria is better, that this Japa issue will be reduced. And the man that spent 35 years in Brazil and still carry cocaine. If it is not well with him, Wakati stay back at Brazil. Putting his any trouble. God bless you. Have a nice day talk.
Thank you very much.
08255009850.
Yes, just one more call.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning. Briefly, sir.
Please, I want you to update us on what is happening at the Port Harcourt.
Thank you. Well, we do not have an exactly clear picture of the true situation. What we do know right now is that there is this back and forth between the major stakeholders, the NPCL, the Nupeng, and even the
Port Harcourt
refinery itself, and the host communities. The story is that what the NPCL is saying, that the tanker drivers are responsible for the delay in loading, while the tanker drivers themselves and those communities are saying that the NNPCL is being prudent, economical with the truth, and that the refinery is not actually functioning at that capacity that they claim it is functioning at the moment. But like I said, we don't have an exact clear picture. We don't know who is being economical with the truth.
For now, that is what we can just tell you. Well, quickly before we go, let me just give you one soft cut. A baby was born, and minutes after he began to speak, he said,
Ajantala?
He said, I am going to live for only 4 days. My mother will die in 6 days, and my father will die in 15 days. 4 days later, the boy died. After 6 days, the mother died. The father was going crazy because the next one will be him. He sold everything, spent the whole money. 15 days later, the gate man died. That means he's not the father of the baby.
Well, that's all the lighter notes. We have to go, and been an interesting time on conversation as usual, and we'll be back same time Monday morning, God willing. My name is Tola Teriba,
and my name is Bimbo Akombi. Thank you very much for listening. Enjoy your day.